Happy National Scrapbooking Day, everyone. Hopefully you are having a great day today. It's hard to believe it's May already, though that seems to be, it's crazy because I leave tomorrow to move my daughter out of her freshman dorm, and it's hard to believe that the year is almost over for her first year at college, so it's just absolutely nuts. And I'm just making sure that I am live here. Waiting for it to pop up over on my other screen. It looks live here, but I'm not seeing it. I'm not seeing it on my screen over here. So let's just give it a second and see if I can refresh this. Because I want to be able to see comments if people join us today. And I know there's a delay, but usually it's not quite this bad. Hold on. Sorry. Okay, come on. All right, well, maybe we'll just give it a minute and see if it pops up over here on my screen that I'm live so I can see comments. Yeah, it's actually a rainy day here in California. We don't usually get rain in May, and it's gloomy and dark outside, so it's kind of weird. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and flip around, and we're going to do a little bit of a welcome and layout for today as far as what's going to happen, what I'm doing, etc. And then we'll get into some scrapbooking. So I'm going to have to put you here up on my stand, and we're going to flip the camera around and make sure that everything is in frame. And I think we're good. I think we're in good shape there. Okay, so National Scrapbook Day. Woohoo! Exciting. So it is May 4th, and I'm sorry, I had to get a little bit punny here with May the 4th be with you, and actually I ended up changing one of the layouts that we're doing today. It's still travel themed, but it's a travel Star Wars themed layout. So we're going to do the welcome this morning, and we're going to do the in color layout, and that's going to be the first thing, and that's what you see on my table here. Then at noon Pacific time, again, these are all Pacific time. At noon Pacific time, we're going to do a masculine layout. And then at 2 p.m., we're going to do the travel layout. May the 4th be with you is the theme. And then we'll do a quick wrap up at 4 p.m. Pacific time. And I am just concerned that we are live because I'm still not seeing it pop up. I want to make sure that we are being seen here. It worked fine on Wednesday. I don't know why it's not working now. Just want to see. Allow. It's showing my lives. Okay. I just don't know why it's not showing up, and I can't see comments if it doesn't show up on this screen, which makes me concerned. I'm sorry, guys. The technical difficulties here. I wonder. Oh, there it is. Finally. Okay, it finally popped up. Right. Okay, now it looks like I have it up. I don't know why that took so long. Okay, but we have my screen and I'm seeing my pages. So, all right, so now just coming back to this. So this is the schedule for the day. And hopefully you'll be able to join me on one or multiple of these lives. I'm hoping they're going to be about an hour, but they might go a little bit longer, just depending on how much I talk, because I do like to talk a lot. And the what I would love to do is get to know everybody who comes on. So I'll do this at the start of every live. Who's here? Just say in the chat, who's here? Where are you from? Were you a close to my heart customer or maker? Have you ordered Stampin' UP products before? What's your favorite Stampin' UP product? Are you a card maker or a scrapbooker or both? Which is your favorite? And what are you working on this weekend? Are you actually doing some crafting, and it doesn't necessarily have to be scrapbooking. Maybe you're crocheting or knitting or doing something else, quilt making, whatever. What are you working on this weekend that's crafty like? And I am going to have a prize, probably one, but there might be more just depending on how many people participate this weekend. So I'm going to sort of gauge it based off of participation, how many prizes I'm going to pull. And so to get an entry into the prize bucket, one of the ways you can do it is join my Insiders Facebook group, and you'll get an entry for that. Introduce yourself in the Facebook group, again, an entry for that. Post your artwork that you're working on inside the group, whether it's a card or a scrapbook layout, anything like that. Go ahead and post that. If you use a technique or a layout design that I've showed you today, you'll get an entry in. And I do have a bingo card that is up pinned to the top of the Insider Facebook group, and I thought it might be a fun way to sort of play. So I've got a bunch of things that you would put on a layout, and you could actually do a lot of these things also on a card. So I think probably the only thing that is on here that would be something that you wouldn't use on a card would be a flip flap, but everything else here you could use on a card as well. And so bingo, either across, down, or diagonal. If you use that, you'll get an entry into the prize drawing, and you have to show the artwork that you got the bingo from. And then the blackout, if you used everything on a particular layout or card, or set of cards or set of layouts, then you would get an entry in for that as well, and again showing that artwork. So just a fun little thing to do if you want to pull that out and print that off and play along there. And then you can also get orders in. Hi Carol, you're from Maryland and you were a customer. Used to owns close to my heart, favorite paper trimmer. Ah, okay, wonderful. Nice to have you here, Carol. Thank you. If you place an order with me, you'd get 2 entries, and I do have an in-color club. This is something that seems to be prevalent out in the Stampin' Up! World, is an in-color club where it allows you to spread the purchase of the in-colors that came in for this year over the course of 5 months. I'm not going to talk too much about this. It's up on my page if you're interested, and you can ask me about it later as well if you're interested. But again, there's a QR code here that would go to the information if you're interested. All right, so we are going to move on and start talking about this layout. So I am using the in colors. I'm using the papers. I don't have the stamp pads or anything else yet. Again, in my welcome kit, I had to be kind of strategic in what I bought in order to prep for today, and the way that it worked out, the inks weren't going to be part of my purchase. And I do have a lot of close to my heart inks that are close enough matches to the papers that I chose to go down the paper route and some stamps and embellishments versus doing the inks right now. But I'm going to be using Unbounded Beauty. That's the name of the paper suite that I'm using, the DSP that I'm using. And I am not using anything else from the suite at this point, but just these papers for that. And the technique that we're actually going to use on this layout is actually also featured in the catalog. It's called Double Play. And it's where you can take a stamp set and use the back side of the stamp and the front side of the stamp. And you can see that pictured here, and I'm going to walk through how to do that, where you can use the back side to create a solid image and then stamp on top of it to create a overlay essentially on it. So again, that's on page 82 and 83 of the catalog. So those are a couple of things that we're going to be using this morning. I am also going to be using these dots. These are the ombre matte decorative dots. I'm going to be using, I think, the coral color or the orangey color here. I'm not sure what color that is. I'm still trying to learn all the colors for Stampin' Up. It's going to take me a little while. And I am going to be using that Sea Turtle stamp set here, and I do have my blocks out. So this is the stamp set, and you can see that you've got a solid shape and then you've got an overlay shape. And you've got that for a majority of the stamps that are in this stamp set. So I'm going to show you how to do that. If you don't have that stamp set, and this is an encore stamp set, so some people might have that from the past, I think it was in the past annual catalog, not the mini catalog. I believe I saw it in the annual catalog. So some people might already have that stamp set, but if you're a Close to My Heart customer, you might have this stamp set, Cape Cod Scrapbooking, or the Cape Cod Card Making, where you will have images very similar to the ones that we're doing. You just wouldn't necessarily need to worry about using the backside of the stamp that I'm going to show you. So, but I am going to use the Sea Coral from the Cape Cod Scrapbooking because I felt like I wanted a little bit more coral involved in this. And then there was also, this was a much older stamp set, there's also Beach Treasures. These are pretty big when you look at them, so they might be a little bit too big for the layout that we're doing, but again, any sort of stamp set that's got the theme will work with what we're doing today. All right, I'm going to go ahead and pull out these papers one more time. I did show these, but I do want to just talk through it. So the paper collection, very similar to other paper collections, are two-sided. So you've got this side, this one's got, you know, a flowery print on it, and then this one, these three have more of a multi-textured overlay, color on color, lighter color, darker color on these. And so these are the three primary ones I'm using. And then the back side again has much more flower kind of things on these two, and then this one just has bigger splotches of that tealy color and the purple color, which is called Berry Something. And again, I apologize. I will get the colors going soon, just not, probably not for a couple of weeks still. The rest of the paper pack is again very flowery, except for this piece, which has this, you know, beautiful berry color that's got the stripes on it, and then the rest of these are those more flowery papers. So I'm not using any of these. The other difference with Close to My Heart versus Stampin' Up is you get 12 papers in these DSP collections. We would get 6 papers, I believe, 2, 4, 6, yeah. So it's going to take me a while to actually work through all the paper packs. So it's really nice that this paper is going to be around for a year, because that is a lot more paper to work with than we've had in the past. The other thing that I went ahead and did is I didn't get the paper packs. The 12 by 12 paper is, you get 2 sheets and it's a combo pack, and so it's a little bit harder to use from a scrapbooking perspective price-wise. So, and I have plenty of Close to My Heart cardstock. So I dug through my Close to My Heart cardstock, and what I found were that these were the colors that work the best. So Wild Berry or Thistle. I only have Wild Berry, but Wild Berry you can see is quite nice with this, and even if you turn it over to the light side, it works pretty well. So that was Wild Berry. Flamingo is also going to work really well. I think the light side goes better than the true side with a Flamingo with the pinks, so I think that works. Lagoon, again, the light side is a little bit better than the dark side. Glacier is also going to be a nice tone on tone, so you can definitely use Glacier and just get a lighter feel for it. And then the last one is Nectarine, and Nectarine works really well. So I think those are good complementary colors or from the old Close to My Heart cardstock to match with Berry Burst, Calypso Coral, Peach Pie, Petunia Pop, Pretty in Pink, Pretty Peacock, Shy Shamrock, and Summer Splash. Okay, I will learn all of those. It'll just take me a little bit. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and move these off. So the 4 papers that I chose from this collection to use are these 4. So I'm using these more textured patterns, but I did pull this one out, and you'll notice that I do have a die cut. I did the coral die cut out of the flower paper, and I'm going to show you how that turned out as well. All right, so let's set this all aside, and we are going to bring in the layout and start working on finishing that. I think, I did put up in the Insiders group, I mentioned this on Wednesday, I did put up a color matcher, or color comparison that Stampin' Up created. So this is up in that Insider group now. So some of those colors that we just talked about are listed here as well. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up this and just make sure that I'm still staying on screen. Okay, so this is the layout that we are going to make. Now I've done quite a bit of work on the right side of this layout. And like I said, we are using the Sea Turtle stamp set for the most part. I'm using Lagoon ink. So the Sea Turtle is in Lagoon. And I used Shortbread and Acorn for the stamping for the other pieces, so the starfish and the sea dollars. So those were the colors that I used, and on those. And then on the coral here, that was this from the Close to My Heart stamp set. I used Flamingo and Pumpkin because I actually didn't have Nectarine. I don't know what exactly happened, but I think the pumpkin worked fine. Again, it's a darker tone, but I think it works fine, and we're going to talk a little bit about that. You'll also notice on the right hand side that I've got some stamping down here at the bottom and at the top, and that is using the bubbles from the Sea Turtle set. And I've done some direct to paper stamping as well. So we're going to talk through all of these things, and essentially I wanted to lay out the right hand side of the layout, and then we're going to do this same thing on the left hand side and show you how I did that. The title I did myself, so this is a title that came off of Cricut, so this is a Cricut cut, and I'm going to bring this up, and I'm going to hopefully you'll be able to see. I actually ran the back side, so this is 2 pieces, and the top piece is like this, the thin cut that sold out in April that had the overlay on it. And what I did is I recreated that essentially in Cricut. And so I've got the black overlay, and then underneath I've got the white. But I ran the white through an embossing folder. And that embossing folder was actually a embossing folder that was a wood tone or wood grain embossing folder. But I thought it worked really well because of the wave feel. The backside, again, you can see it a little bit better. The wood grain does have that wave feel, even though it's got some lines and things like that. I did feel like it worked pretty well to mimic that wave, and I don't know how well that's showing up on camera, but hopefully you can kind of see that. All right, so that is the title. I'm going to just move that up to the top there. And we're going to go ahead and start working on the left side of the layout. So I'm going to just take the right side out of the way so we can focus on the left side. All right, I have a bunch of pieces that I've already stamped and that I've cut out of my paper. So this does not have a matching die. So you do have to fussy cut this if you're going to use this one outside of direct to paper. And then my squares here are 4x4 squares, and I did I just did a strip of the 12x12 paper, and then I cut 3 squares out of it, 4, 8, 12. And then my pictures are a little bit smaller than 4x4, so that they are sitting on that square, and you can see the color. I didn't matte these. Normally I do, but because there's so much darkness on these pictures, and I didn't really like necessarily the white on top of it, I'm not matting them. So that's what you're seeing here. So as we go through, we're going to kind of do a few steps here. The first step we're going to do is we're actually going to ink each of these pieces of paper with some black ink. So I'm just getting a foam dauber, and I'm getting my black ink out. And we're going to just lightly go around the edges to give it some depth. When you're working with colors that are this bright, it really helps to add a little bit of black in to it to ground these colors, because otherwise these colors feel like they're floating, and there's no place for the eye to really rest. And so a little bit of black goes a long way in helping these colors to ground themselves in the layout, and provides, again, anytime you do inking like this, it also provides some depth as well. So that's what we're doing. And so, I mean, I'm not trying to get too much ink on. I'm just trying to gently dab so that I get a little bit of a black line here. And that's why the dauber works really well with this, versus doing a foam brush or a blending brush or something like that. So hopefully you guys can see how that just adds a little bit of depth to that particular piece of paper. And we're just going to do this to all of this. And that's why I kind of did the right hand side first, because you really don't want to sit here and watch me do this across, 8, 10 squares. Pretty boring, this part. We want to get moving on to the other pieces. So the other pieces that we're going to do we're going to do some direct to paper stamping here, for those borders and for a couple of those turtles, so that I can show you how to do that stamping. And again, it's you don't have to be too gentle here. Paper's pretty stiff. The Stampin' Up! Paper is actually quite nice. It's a little bit, I feel like it's a tiny bit heavier than our old pattern paper, close to my heart. So it doesn't bend quite as easily. Like when I'm doing this, our past papers might have had a little bit more give to them. So this feels like this is a little, not too much. It's not over heavy. It's not cardstock heavy, but it's certainly a little bit heavier weight than the old close to my heart papers are. And I do love these papers, actually. I like this kind of tone on tone paper. It's fun. And I think you can do a lot with it, which is why I kind of wanted to show you doing it something that wasn't flowery, so that maybe you could think outside the box of how to use these papers, since they do show it in the catalog with a flowery stamp as a part of the bundle. But you can kind of think outside the box, and that's why I did take that one paper that we're going to look at, that I die cut and stamped on top of, to show you, that you can play around with these patterns. You don't have to be so strict with the theme, so to speak. All right, so we're almost done with this one. Just another couple turns here, and then we'll move on to the next step. So a little bit about these pictures. These pictures were taken in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. We were on a trip down there during springtime, and the at the time that we were there, it was turtle hatching time. So the place that we go to generally has a lot of sea turtles that beach there, and so the problem is, and why the title is Baby Sea Turtle Rescue, is that the lights from the hotels draw the turtles to the pool area and not out to the ocean, because they follow the moonlight to get out to the ocean. And so we got up super early in the morning before the sun came up to go rescue sea turtles. And so that's what you're seeing in these pictures. So, and like I said, I really felt like this color scheme went really well with not only the sea turtle thought, but also the pictures that you'll see in a minute of my girls. They're actually wearing this color in the pictures, which generally for me does not happen. It does not work quite that well. All right. So I am using, again, I'm using this bubble stamp set to kind of create a border here. And on this side, on the top part here, I'm only going to go kind of as far as the end of this square, this picture here. And I'm not going to go all the way across, because I'm going to have this title up here, and I don't really want necessarily those bubbles to be there. We're going to see. We may change our mind, but for right now, that's kind of was my thought until I actually got it down. So we're going to take this stamp set, and we're going to actually add this stamp in a couple of places here. Now I am leaving the pictures here, or the placeholders here, because I want to make sure, and actually I'm going to just double check. So I'm about 2 inches down. Sorry, I'm just trying to find one of my rulers. I'm about 2 inches down, so I want to kind of get these in the same position as the other layout, because I don't want it to kind of look off balance. So okay, so we're roughly about 2 inches down, so that's good. So I think we're in good shape there. So we're going to use that as a guide so that we can place these bubbles, and we want these bubbles to be underneath. I am using Lagoon, so that's going to be the color I use, and I am going to do what's called second generation stamping. And so that's where I'm going to go ahead and stamp off on a scrap piece of paper, so that I can get a lighter version of that ink. And so I want to ink this up really well. Now I've already used this stamp set, so I've already prepped this particular stamp because you need to remove sort of the manufacturing film that's on it. And so I've done that. So I'm just stamping this off to get that ink off of it. And then I'm going to come in here, and I'm going to go off the page. So I'm going to just slide my paper in here so I can go off the page. And I'm going to move this down. And then I'm going to just place it down. I am on my Versamat on the back side to give me a foam backing. That is one thing that I'm still kind of working on with the Stampin' Up! Stamps. We don't get a foam backing in the stamps. I don't know how much they need them or not. I have noticed with this stamp set, I can't seem to get as clean a stamp. You can kind of see, like, I'm not sure if it's the way it's sitting on my block or if it's the ink. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, but I can't seem to I get like one section that doesn't ink off very well. Even when I press it, that one looks a little bit better, but there's still that little blotch right there. So I'm just going with it. I'm not going to try and worry about it. At least this way it's going to be roughly the same on both sides. Again, I did turn this over, and again, I'm just kind of eyeballing it. I only do a little bit of measuring when I stamp and do my layouts. So it's not, I'm not a precision person. I just want to get close. I want it to look pleasant. All right, so now we've got the bubbles kind of popping up, and they're pretty light. I know it might be a little bit hard to see with my lights here, but it's pretty light. I just didn't want it to overpower, you know, because if you took this and you put that there, you can see how much it might overpower the papers, and I didn't want that. So that's why I'm doing second generation. I just wanted a little bit of color up there. Okay, so same thing here. We're gonna go ahead and lay these out again, and we're going to make sure that we're at that 2 inches. And then we'll lay our other squares down. And then we'll use those as a guide for the bottom here. Perfect. Okay, so same thing. We're going to ink this up. Ink that up. And then get our paper here to stamp off, and then we're just going to slide this guy up a little and stamp down. All right. This class is a lot of techniques. So, you know, what we're doing right now is, you know, second generational stamping. We're going to do that again when we do yeah, see, there's a little bit too much there. We're going to do that one again. When we do add the extra turtles there. So we're doing a lot of second generation and first generation stamping here. Okay, I'm only going to do 2 down here as well, because I'm going to have these turtles coming down. I'm not sure if I want to have this one more time across the bottom like I do on the other side of the layout. So we're gonna put that aside. We're gonna see how we like that. All right. So now I've got the now I've got my squares. I've got that done, and now I've got to do my turtles on this side coming down. So again, I'm going to have my title here, the beginning of my title, and I'm going to have these turtles kind of coming and going down, trying to create some movement here. So I've got the turtle on a block, and you want to have your stamp size to the block that you're using. You don't want to have a stamp on a block that's too big for it, because then you have the potential of getting a lot of ink on your block that you might end up transferring to your project. So there are 2 sides to the stamp. This side has got all of the details of the turtle and its shell, and then on the back side it is flat. And so we are actually going to we're going to start with putting it down with the detailed side down onto your block, so the flat side is showing. And I'm going to just sort of come in here, and I'm going to look for where do I want to put a turtle. So I've got a couple that I've cut out, but I want to go ahead and add some directly to paper. So I'm going to take my stamp, and again, I'm going to go in. This has been seasoned. Like I said, I've already done this. I'm going to go into my Lagoon ink and just ink it up. I'm going to stamp it off. This needs to be second generation, just like what we did before. We want it to be a lighter color, and I think I'm going to have kind of like the turtle right about there. And I am leaving it to sit on the paper just a little bit so that the ink can soak in. Okay, and it's pretty light. You might not, again, it's kind of hard to see. Hopefully you can see that outline, but that's what we want. We don't want it to be too dark. So then we're going to flip this turtle over so that it is got the detailed side now facing up. This is the side we're going to ink, and this is going to be in first generation. So we aren't going to go off onto our scrap paper. We're just going to keep it at full strength. And then we're gonna line this up as best we can. Now with my lights, and hopefully my head's not in the picture, I'm gonna line it up as best I can. I think I'm a little bit off, but that's okay. Again, I'm gonna leave it sit here for just a moment so that the ink can soak in to the paper. And now we have a double stamped. Now, you can see that I'm a little bit off if I bring this up, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. It's not a big deal. All right. So now that we've got that, we can decide if we want any more turtles. And I do think I want another one. I think I want a couple of more. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one coming out from underneath this piece. So I'm going to just stamp off that to get the extra ink off so I can kind of keep my hands somewhat ink free. And we're going to just flip it over again. And ink it up. And then we're going to kind of decide where we want it. We're going to lift this up. Oh, second generation. Sorry, almost messed that up. We're going to put that down there, just like that. Okay. And then we're going to flip it over again to the detailed side, ink it up, and then line it up as best you can. Yeah, I got a lot of shadows. I'm having a hard time lining it up with all my shadows. But there we go. We're going to do that. Okay, so that's the second one. And we'll just see if we want another one, because I tend to like odd numbers. So now I've got sort of 4. Maybe we'll do one over here. Okay. Just trying to decide where it makes sense. I do kind of like one maybe right there. Okay, I think we're going to do one there. Okay, so again, I flipped it over and tapped it off, and we're going to go over here in the corner. And do this. So like I was saying, this layout came from the fact that I love sea turtles, but also that I had these pictures of my girls rescuing sea turtles when we were on vacation. And this was actually our last day at the place that we were at in Mexico. And it was an experience, to go see all of these turtles, all these little baby turtles that were, I'm going to come up here too, because I feel like I need a little bit more over sort of on this side. So again, I'm going to come up here, and I'm going to add another turtle up here. It was, going out and actually going and picking up these turtles and carrying them out to the ocean to help them. I mean, there were hundreds of these turtles that were stuck essentially up against the edge of the concrete, or up up by the pool. So some had climbed up and gotten into the pool, and we were rescuing them from the pool area. And so I don't know, it was just one of those really cool experiences. That one I didn't do so well. I didn't line it up. I didn't pay attention too much, but that's okay. We're still gonna live with it. It's fine. No one's probably gonna notice it other than me. And I can also do this. So I might add that guy in there. I might do that because that one was really kind of off. So we'll see. So anyway, that really kind of gave me you know, it just felt good, I guess, is kind of my point. I'm going to go ahead and do another sea turtle here that I'm going to cut out. Because I do think I need to fix that little boo-boo. So there's no boo-boos. It's just things that we have to go in and maybe tweak and play with. And so in this case, I didn't really like my lining up of that sea turtle. So by using one of my cutout ones, I can salvage it. So this time you're probably going to see my head because I am coming in so I can see a little better. Okay. Yeah, that one's a little better. So we're going to cut that one out. All right. I think we have enough sea turtles right now. I don't think we're going to add any more on this side. And I'm going to go ahead and just cut this guy out real fast. So anyway, so we've been back to Mexico to this place and we've done this particular activity again. I don't have any pictures of it, unfortunately, because the time we usually go to Mexico is usually around the sea turtle birthing. And it's interesting over the years how it's changed and how the resort areas have actually created designated turtle hatcheries, essentially. They actually go and go find the turtle nests where the females have laid the eggs and collect them and then bring them to a specific spot in that local area for the eggs to hatch. And there's like these little nurseries of eggs, and they all have like date and time stamps, and there are people there that monitor the heat because that's what allows the turtles to actually develop is the amount of heat in the sand. And so they do a whole thing of management, and they've actually moved the turtle hatchery to a place where there are less people. It's still close to the resorts that we stay at, but they're not as close, and so the turtles have a better chance of making it out to the ocean more safely than they used to. So it's really nice over the years, when you go back to places that you see that progress and that development, because it was kind of sad because you knew some of those turtles weren't going to make it back to the ocean, and it just kind of was sad. All right, enough about that. So I have done, I think, the majority of the stamping that I want to do on this layout. So now we're just going to go ahead and we're going to add these pieces and start working on gluing everything down. Okay, I am going to try the Stamp and Seal. I haven't used this as of yet, so we're gonna give this a go and see how we like it. Again, I'm gonna bring in my T ruler, and I'm going to be looking to put this piece at the 2-inch mark. Okay, so why is this not rolling? Okay, we may change my mind on that because this is not rolling very well. Oh, there we go. Okay, I guess I just needed to get it going. All right, so this is more like a solid adhesive versus a dot adhesive. So that's going to be interesting to see how this works. Because a lot of times in scrapbooking, we are going to move things around, maybe more than you might do with card making. And so sometimes these more solid adhesives don't work as well because we need to move things around. And again, I'm just trying to see, am I getting close to that 2-inch? And that's about right there. And I don't want to go over the edge. I want to be right at that edge. I'm being a little bit more precise than I normally am, but I do think it's important for this one. Oh, the rain is really coming down out there. That's crazy. Okay, so again, once we get that first one down, the other thing is a lot of times I'm going to leave space here at the top and at the bottom because I might tuck things underneath. And so I want to make sure that I give myself space, and especially if this adhesive isn't going to come up very easily. I want to definitely be careful that I, am able to get things slid underneath, or on top of my pieces, so that I can tuck things in and around. So this one I'm not going to have to do as much of that, but will be doing a little bit. Okay, so there we go here. Okay. All right, so then I've got my pictures that are going to go on here. I think I had it like that. And then I have a square that's going to be my journaling block. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab some of the Stampin' Dimensionals, and we're going to pop up this turtle that's going to be here that I'm going to overlay. So I'm just going to grab a dimensional. Now these dimensionals are a little bit thinner than our standard 3D foam tape that we've used in the past. They're not as thin, though, as the thin 3D foam tape that we had. So it kind of sits in the middle. So again, I'm going to try and hide sort of my mess up here, like that, and stick that down. And then we're going to, again, place these pieces that are our cutouts around the title. And again, one of the things you want to do when you're doing any sort of clustering is that you want to have a relationship to the other papers. So you'll see that I'm going to like tuck this under just a little bit, just to ground it in the space. And that just helps make it feel like it's not floating out in nowhere land, essentially. All right, so this guy here, and then we'll add in the starfish. I'm not sure how many of these dimensionals to use. They're a unique shape. I think I need to cut that one. You will see me use my Close to My Heart stickers, or scissors, just because they're non-stick. And that makes it a lot easier when you're dealing with things like foam tape that's sticky. They don't muck up your scissors too much. All right. So again, this part's kind of boring because you're just seeing me stick things on places. But again, I'm just trying to create this sort of movement or flow around these particular pieces. I'm using different size things, and then we're going to come back. Actually, I might put this one over here. I think I'm going to put that one over there. And you don't have to stick everything up on foam tape, but I like it a little bit better. I like having dimension on my pieces. So, and I got a bunch of these little starfish that I cut out. Again, that was part of the set. There was a big starfish and a little starfish, and so I did a bunch of those to cut out. And when you're working with embellishments, you want to start with your biggest embellishment set first, and then you want to work to your next biggest and your next biggest, right? So you want to work your way down, because your biggest embellishment is going to take up the most space, and then what you're going to do is want to work around that and fill in with the smaller embellishments. So when you're thinking about doing what I'm doing here, is you want to be working with these bigger pieces really first, not the smaller pieces and then the bigger pieces, because then it'll be harder for you to actually move things around and make it feel full, but also not over full, right? So there's a balance between that. All right. Almost done here. Just a couple more of these, and then we'll take our pictures and we'll do the same thing. We'll do a little bit with our pictures here, and then we'll get that title on. And then this layout, we just have to go to the other side and just do a little bit of embellishing on the other side, and then we are done with this layout. I'm not sure what time it is. What time is it? Oh, it's almost 10 o'clock. Cool. So does anyone have any questions? I know, Carol, you're on, but I don't think anybody else is. Do you have any questions, Carol, about this layout? As I'm doing the boring part. All right, so this is the last sort of bigger embellishment that we're going to add here. We're going to just kind of tuck that there. And then we're going to come in with some of these smaller ones. Okay. I'm going to stick that guy over here. Again, generally I'm going to actually have things touching a little bit more than they are in this particular layout. But because I'm doing this movement from top to bottom, I'm actually, let's get that title down next. I am going to pop this title up as well to give it some dimension. I mean, it has some dimension, but again, it is sitting on a white background, and so I want it, and I probably, you know what, I am going to do that. I'm going to get out my blending brush, and I am going to take a little bit of, actually, I think I'm going to do Glacier. I'm going to do Glacier, because Glacier is a lighter version of Lagoon, if you look at the two of those. So I think I'm going to take some Glacier, and I'm actually going to do, and this time I'm using a foam dauber, or a foam piece, because I'm actually going to do some blending up here. And I'm going to come in a circular motion, and I'm going to come in very, very lightly. I don't want to come in too heavy on this, because otherwise it's going to transfer too much ink. It's much easier to add than it is to take away, and I'm like barely touching the paper here and moving in this circular motion. And all I'm just trying to do is just add a little bit of depth here at the upper side. And again, we're going to come down here and do a little bit here. And this is going to allow that title to have a place to land that's a little bit better than just sitting on top of the white paper. So I'm just seeing, do I need to have a little bit more? I think I need a little bit more. We want this to sort of pop out from the edges of that title, which is what I'm looking to do. And again, trying to keep a very light hand. Okay, let's see if that helps. Need a little bit more right there, I think. Okay. Oops. Got a starfish stuck to my thing. Okay. Need a little bit just right there. Okay. All right, we're going to leave that. I think we're good there. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put our title on. And boy, it really is raining. Crazy. All right, so baby sea turtle. So I'd spread this title across both pages instead of just having it across one. Because I wanted, it was a fairly long title, but I felt like it needed to kind of be on both pages from a design perspective. So that's why you're seeing only part of the title on this side. All right. Okay. And then I had, there it is. I'm going to go ahead and add a starfish up there. And I think we probably need a starfish over on this side as well. So we'll grab one of these guys here. Like so. Okay, so the only thing I have left to do on this is that I need to go ahead and adhere my pictures down. So I'm going to do that sort of off camera because you don't really need to see me add those pictures. But that's the right hand side of the layout. So let's bring in the left hand side. Sorry, that was the left hand side. This is the right hand side. So we're going to bring in this side. Oh, and I forgot to add my coral. That's the piece I knew I was missing. Okay, so I had some coral pieces that I wanted to add in here. So this is why you start with your biggest pieces first, because now I have to kind of figure out how to make this work. I think we're going to leave. All right. I think that'll work okay. Okay. I think we're going to just go ahead and put this directly to, we're not going to pop this guy up. Okay. I need to use my dot roller because that one's just not working for me very well. I might have to practice with it a little bit. So I'm sort of maneuvering this under that starfish that's popped up, and then also with overlaying with the turtle, and then trying to get it to touch in multiple places just so that it's grounded. This is the paper that I cut. So this is from the pattern paper. And what I did is I went ahead and I took the stamp set that was part of that Cape Cod set, and I stamped it in a couple of different colors. This one is in Lagoon, and this one is in Journey. And what that did is, even though there was a pattern underneath it, it gave another pattern on top, and it now, to me, looks like multi-dimensional coral. And so that was my goal with this, is that I was able to sort of get a coral feel with that patterned paper. And so we are going to actually stick that one up there. That works really well. Again, this is why you don't put adhesive all the way to the top of your pictures or your frames or whatever you're putting on, so that you can actually do something like I just did there. And I don't know if you see it if I was off camera, maybe a little bit. But again, now I've got those two pieces here, and I've got a piece that I can add in down here, and then I have another piece. So I've got these two pieces, and then I've got another piece I can stamp. So I've got these two. This stamping technique is a rock and roll stamping technique. So I am going to go ahead and do that, even though I know we're getting close to the hour time frame here. So the two colors that I used were Pumpkin and Flamingo. And Pumpkin and Flamingo kind of coordinate with these two colors. I've got the stamp set. And when you're doing a rock and roll technique, you're going to go into the lighter color first. So I'm going to go into the Flamingo first, and you're going to ink that stamp up. And it is kind of hard to see on this stamp, but you're going to ink that up. And then you're going to come over to your darker color, and you're going to roll the stamp in that ink. and you can choose how much you want to roll it, how much you want to put on it. And then you need to be careful because you can see that I've got edges here. I lost my little piece of paper to clean it up. When you do a rock and roll technique, you're going to end up getting ink on the edges, and you want to make sure before you stamp, especially if you're going direct to paper, that you clean up those edges. And I'm going to just grab a little bit more right there. And then we're going to stamp it on our die cut. Just like that. And so what you get is that multicolor look from doing that rock and roll technique. So you've got the flamingo color, the pinky color, and the orangey color. And again, that goes really well with this stamp set. This paper, because that one paper has got that pink and that orange, right? It's got that same color. All right, so on this one, we're going to add in the title. So again, we're going to do that same thing that I did over on the left-hand side. I'm going to go ahead and do some inking. Glacier. Grab the glacier. I'm going to move this guy off to the side. I'll bring it back in a minute, but I need some more space so that we have the ink blending, or the title sitting on top of some color here. Oops. And a little bit more color down here. Again, I'm starting with a lighter color. If I had used Lagoon, it would come on a little bit darker, but I really wanted to be careful that I didn't get it too dark. If you tap off on the paper too, sometimes you can get rid of any harsh lines that might come from the dauber or from the foam piece. Sometimes if you come straight to paper without dabbing it off, you end up with a little bit too much ink in one spot. Oops. Okay, I need to come down just a tad more. Okay. Let's come out just a tad more. Again, it's a playing around. It's, you know, putting pieces in and seeing if you like it, and moving pieces around as you are going. There is no precise thing in any of this. It's all about what it looks good to you when you're working on this. All right, so we'll go ahead and put the title down. Again, we'll pop that up. So we're going to start with that piece on this case, and then we're going to add in our other pieces. I've done most of the stamping already on this, and I've laid out most of the pieces, so that part we don't have to spend a whole lot of time, because the idea is that, you know, pretty much the same as what I have already shown you on the other side. And same thing here. I've got my pictures that are of the girls. So on the first side was my husband rescuing the turtles, and then on this side I've got my girls rescuing the turtles, and you can kind of see the turtles here in this picture in my daughter's shirt. So she's collected them in her shirt and is carrying them out to put them down in close to the ocean for them to be able to go swim out to sea. And them proudly holding the little baby turtles that they're rescuing. So part of that is going to have to go on the left side of the page. That's where I have that block to write the story on, and the date and all of that. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and start laying pieces down. So again, I'm going to start with my biggest piece. So I'm going to start with this piece of coral. And we're going to play with that right here. I did stamp from the stamp set, again, the seaweed kinds of things. I have that on this side. I don't have that on the other side. I didn't really see a good place to put it. So I might go back and add something there, but we'll see. All right, and then I've got my turtle here. Put that up on a dimensional. Again, I like having a good amount of dimension in my layouts. So you'll see me using a lot of foam tape or dimensionals on my layouts, just because I like seeing different levels of things. I like having that variety of high and low. So, all right. So I'm going to take this guy here. I'm going to kind of do that, and then I actually think I do want this one up here. So I think I need to do one more stamp with this guy. Now that I'm looking at this. So we're going to go ahead and bring out our stamp pad again. And we are almost done here. Almost done. So second generation, I'm going to go ahead and put that guy there. And flip that over. I'm going to try and do better about lining up. Sometimes there's almost too much light. I'm off, but I think this one's going to be okay. Yeah, that one's okay. I can live with that. I could tell when I went down it was off. All right. And then we're going to add in this starfish here. And we're going to add in this sand dollar. All right. Just checking to see if anyone had any questions. All right, here we go. Where do I want to put that? Actually, I don't really like that anywhere. I might not put that there. Okay, let's do this guy. And we are almost done. Almost done. Like I said, I'll do the pictures after. I'll get those glued down after we finish. But I think you get the idea of how this is all laying out and what it's going to look like. So again, I'm going to go ahead and tuck that guy there. Okay. And then we are going to come down here. We're actually going to pop this coral up down here at the bottom. What I'm trying to do is just make sure that we've got balance, and that we've got. So when you're doing embellishments on a layout, you want to kind of have a triangle. So a spot, a spot, a spot, for eye movement and for it's just more pleasing. And having a triangle or having threes or odd numbers is much more pleasing to the eye or to design when you are when you're working with design elements like this. So having an odd number is going to be better than having an even number. And I'm just seeing, do I want to pull in another coral? I don't think I do. I do want to use this somewhere though. That's maybe I'll put it up here. Okay, I think I'll put that up there. The reason I want to use this is because I have this coral color, this piece in my other side, and so I want to make sure that anything that I do on one side, that I'm consistent, and I bring it over to the other side of my layout as well. Again, it just helps for cohesiveness and balance between these pieces. And then having them touch is also really helpful. So I've got 3 here. I'm just trying to see, do I want to add a starfish over here? I think we will add that starfish there. And then I think we're essentially done. This layout is done. And I'll bring in the other side, clean up a little bit before we finish up. And I didn't do too bad. Only a few minutes over, and we did do the introduction stuff, so I didn't do too bad. Again, I talk a lot, and I don't always have everything totally laid out and perfect before I start my lives. So I sometimes just go with the flow. I don't want to cover those up. Okay, I think I'm changing my mind. I don't think I'm going to put that in there. No, I don't like that either. Okay, so we're going to save that and put that off to the side. Okay, so let's just clean this up a little bit. Let's bring over the other layout, the other side, so that you can see both sides together now that they're pretty much done. And what I might do is I might come in and add a little bit of the seaweed coming out. I might try and add that over here so that I've got, again, those pieces there. Maybe down here at the bottom I might add some of that seaweed to bring some cohesiveness to that. But for the most part, this layout is done. I just need to do the journaling here on the journaling block and put down my pictures, and we are done with the first layout. So hopefully you got some really good ideas about how to use this paper, B, how to do a number of stamping techniques, direct to paper, second generation, layering on top of that, rock and roll. So we did quite a few stamping techniques on this particular layout. This layout is the most technique heavy of the layouts that I'm going to do today. The others are going to be a little bit more simple from a technique perspective. All right. Well, thank you, Carol, for being here. And I will see you all on the next live at noon. Bye.